Welcome back. Well, we have Sid Khemka as promised to help us out with some analysis. Hi, Sid. You heard our top 10 stocks, but just one stock I wanted to ask you about is Polycap. Mr. Tongia has been at the helm and he's done a phenomenal job in scaling up Polycap. Now, late last night, there was news on the exchanges about his resignation. And, he's been one of the pillars of the company. Do you think it'll be perceived negatively? The street, I'll tell you what, they'll be a little bit nervous, not just because he's going, but where is he going? What's your take?
Good morning, Nigel. Yeah, glad to see you midweek. I think in today's market, these kind of resignations are a bit tricky. We have seen that in a couple of other names. Thankfully, I think the core numbers or business, that has been pretty strong for Polycap. And as you rightly said, yes, Mr. Tonga has been there at the helm. But again, I don't see that as a very crucial role in terms of the business. So I don't see that as a big concern for today. Yes, the stock may react negatively, but as I said, Q1 numbers, pretty strong numbers from Polycap. We are seeing higher than estimated earnings growth. Volume growth has been pretty strong, especially in the cables and wires segment. Management has been optimistic about the strong domestic demand. And our estimates of about 20% PAT CAGR continues to be one of the better names in the wires and cable segment. It's the only stock that we like, given the increasing competition in the domestic market. We believe the leadership that Polycap has that will differentiate it from some of the new players that are entering or likely to enter. So I think, as I said, to summarize, just maybe a marginal dip, but not to be worried much about the resignation.
Got it. Not too worried. But what about the two earnings that came in from the frontline names? Bharti Airtel, that ARPU is looking quite good at around 250 odd, and there's hope that they will go up from here. What's your view on that stock? And Britannia, not as crunchy as enough. How would you read those numbers?
Yeah, I think two sides of the coin. Bharti Airtel, pretty strong numbers, better performance in Bharti Airtel, which was a 5% beat compared to our expectation. India wireless business also ahead of expectations. We saw a 3% Q-on-Q increase in India wireless revenues, and higher ARPUs helped the EBITDA margins, which offset the moderation in the net subscriber addition. What we saw is that overall EBITDA was up 21%, driven by robust performance both in the domestic market, the home broadband business, as well as the Airtel Africa business. So capex has also normalized after the sharp increase in fourth quarter, and we see that there is a robust free cash flow generation that continues. What we are expecting is a 15% EBITDA CAGR over the next 2 years, which should lead to almost 40% net profit CAGR over the next 2 years. So we believe this outperformance from Bharti Airtel within the large cap space that can continue among the few large cap names with such kind of consistent growth and free cash flow generation. So remain positive. Currently, we have a target price of 2,200. So I recommend buy on Bharti Airtel. Britannia, I think, a little bit under pressure, specifically in terms of margins, volume growth. What we estimate is about the company would have recorded a 4% volume growth compared to our expectation of 3%. The bigger disappointment was the gross margins, which contracted 310 basis points on a Y-on-Y basis. This is largely due to the rise in commodity prices. Also, employee expenses increased, and we saw flattish EBITDA, but net profit declined 2% on a Y-on-Y basis. So I think within the FMCG players, where we had seen some improvement, Britannia definitely a bit disappointment. Stock could be under pressure today.
Siddhartha, hi, morning. I want to discuss defense stocks with you because yesterday the Defense Acquisition Council again announced proposals worth 67,000 crores, and it's for all the services, right? For the Army, Air Force and the Navy. There are radar systems, there are electronics equipment, so much. And we know this market is very hungry for some inspiration, some ideas on the long side. So would you expect any pop on any of the defense names? Yeah, we've got some of the details of these proposals coming up for you on the screen now. But anything that you'd look to buy?
Yeah, good morning. So I think we see defense as a long-term theme. You will keep getting these kind of news flows. Any rise in geopolitical skirmish, that will also lead to a positive sentiment. Thankfully, last few days there has been a lot of peace around, and that has led to some softening of prices which had run up ahead of some of the fundamentals. So I think this is a good time to buy or add, accumulate into some of the large leaders in the defense names. So we have coverage, and we like Bharat Electricals, which is Bharat Electronics, which has been the leader in the pack. HAL is the other one that we like in the pack. And then I think if you look at the more from the missiles and radars, Bharat Dynamics. So that is the other name that we like. So I think all these three names could do well given this additional budget that the government is approving. I think it's one has to look at defense from the next 4 or 5 year perspective and not from a near-term, short-term perspective.
I was just going to ask you that exactly, because some of the companies, BEL included, I mean, the first quarter was not very inspiring. I remember Zentech as well. We are yet to see a stellar earnings show, at least this season. So you think this is only a temporary phase and eventually it's positive?
So yeah, I think Surbhi, if you look at generally the execution is lumpy. Q4 we saw a very high base. A lot of execution happened there. Even for the names, as you said, Zentech did a very stellar Q4. Q1 has not been that stellar. Generally, capital goods, industrials, they have a weaker Q1, and as we progress into the financial year, the execution picks up. So I think it's a temporary phenomena, and one needs to look at more from as I said again, from a long-term perspective, the order books for most of these names are pretty strong, be it a Bharat Electricals, HAL. It's just the execution delays sometimes can lead to stock underperformance, and hence I say that one need not look at purely from a short-term perspective. These kind of news flows will definitely lead to a pop in the stock prices, but again, as I said, any dip in these stock prices, I'll look for accumulation into the defense names.
Okay, so buy the dips on defense stocks. That's the advice. Siddharth, thanks very much for being with us. You have a good day and we'll connect again soon.